The drama and intrigue surrounding who's going to replace Mike Shildt continues with every passing day. Let's talk about the latest information. And then at the end, I'm going to wander off on a rant about who I think we could assemble as not just the perfect managerial fix, but overall to fill out the rest of the coaching staff as well. What's going on, everybody? Christian Pedersen back with another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for tuning into the show that is going to give you managerial content nonstop around the clock to avoid having to come to terms with the fact that the Dodgers are still playing. It's what we're going to produce. It's what we're going to have. If you want to talk about it, drop a comment. We love to hear from you guys. Many of you see baseball in a vastly different way than me, and I enjoy having those opinions. And if you want to subscribe, it sends out good vibes into the universe. I don't think it can hurt. Let's talk about it. I want to talk about how, and now we're a couple videos in, so this is where I say subscribe because I don't want to rehash this, but to reset the stage in totality for you guys, just kind of on where we are at as Padres fans. This will be the sixth manager in 10 years. This feels like the current situation is that the team is good, but maybe the manager is going to be the scapegoat of like, that's why we didn't get done the last few years. And this guy's going to be the right. And of course, they're going to say that about everybody. But I bring up this, and Andrew did a great deeper dive on this. But the rift that seems to somewhat be forming between AJ and Grupner, and that rift might be a irresponsible word. I don't know. It just, there's articles in The Athletic coming out saying that, you know, maybe there are just two alpha males that work at the Padres, and it's not just AJ runs everything or this guy runs everything, but there's some overlap or whatever. I get the feeling that right now AJ, while there has been verbal acknowledgement from ownership that they want him to stick around, does not have like universal 100% internal polling. So hot seat, maybe not this year, but given that, like, how many more times can you burn through a managerial hire before, like, if you're already kind of on the lukewarm seat, next time is hot seat, or maybe next time is just clear house. So I would say that we're running on the lesser end of his picks. So does AJ stick with the generic formula? Some of you guys think in the comment section just seem to think it's a spending issue, and that could be very true, that maybe they just don't want to go get top dollar, but I don't necessarily know if top dollar does it the way that baseball managerial stuff works. I think that one name, though, that in talking about all of this, we can look at the big picture numbers and names for all the other ones, but the name that I keep coming back to, that I am in on, and that I want to talk with everybody about, is Albert Pujols. I've brought up Pujols a couple of times, but this is the first video where I want to just say, hey, here's my thesis. Albert Pujols fixes the Padres, or at least Albert Pujols breaks the mold in a certain way that creates the best version of the Padres and helps us achieve. Maybe I don't want to go as far as to say that Albert Pujols guarantees World Series, because we still got to get some pieces and we still got to see what we've got with some other guys internally. But hear me out. That list that I showed you at the beginning of the last 5 managers for the Padres, the one other managerial candidate, or it was a trend of guys who were external hires. We're not picking the right internal person. We blew by Dave Roberts. I still think that bringing Ruben Abel over from pitching coach to manager would be great. But if you can convince Ruben to stay and accept that role, and hey, we get 5 more years of commitment out of you before we lose you to a managerial spot, and you have the chance then to bring somebody in the Albert Pujols name has stuck to me, and I've wandered around Twitter and I've seen things like someone brought up an Andy Hobron tweet from a couple years ago where he was talking to Tatis, how it was meant to be, or that Machado, or that Pujols' kid, his favorite player is Manny Machado, and like there's cute little anecdotal stuff like this, but I am genuinely in on one thing that we have not seen with the totality of this list is recent generational connectivity potential, given that I Pujols played late and is old, and I'm not saying that he's like some 36-year-old 20 like he's not a savant, kind of like the way that the NFL has some dudes who are kids, 28, 32 coming out, OC coordinators, all that kind. Okay, Pujols is still older. He's removed from being a 22-year-old. Like there is a generational gap there, but he's so much closer and played in the same MLB still as some of the, not even necessarily going to say older guys, but some of those middle tier, been around a minute kind of guys. Like he has some overlap. It feels like such a break from that kind of thing that we've done where we've gone to get guys who are managers. And not to say that managers is a bad thing, but to say that if it hasn't worked that many times in a row, maybe the change is just to approach it from like not that we picked a different one of those, but we picked something entirely different on the other end of any sort of, the spectrum, if you will. And that's where I like Pujols. I think he has a winning pedigree. I think as a hitting coach, it doesn't necessarily, not that he necessarily guarantees that the greatest hitters make the greatest coaches, but he's got that mentality. He can focus on it. He can contribute a little bit more to it. He can help, because we would want to hire a hitting coach. That's why I want to bring this up and just push this. The Pujols thing, I genuinely want to have a serious back and forth with you guys on, because I do think that this would be a very good managerial spot for him and a good managerial choice for the Padres. Then acknowledging that beyond this, we go a little bit more into fun conjecture, if you will, but I'm a YouTube host. I'm doing this from a room that is split between being an office and a child's nursery. So let's go. Let's wander down this path. I talked about this a little while ago, like maybe 2 weeks ago, that Manny Ramirez had expressed interest in wanting to be a hitting coach. Steroids, sure. Ridiculous double cuts in the outfield with Johnny Damon, sure. Dude's a maniac in the best possible way, sure. But also I at some point don't know how to look back retroactively without it only being me watching Manny's highlights. Like, people don't necessarily have tape out there on YouTube of like, oh, here's every game where Manny went 1 for 4 and that one hit was a bloop single. Like, there's not, like, that's just, it's sometimes is hard to retroactively evaluate these guys. But from what you see with Manny's credentials, the tapes, like, even if he had steroids, you still got to hit the ball. Like, what are we talking about here? Guy's one of the greats, so I want to give him a chance. I don't know if that might represent too much change all in one to go from traditional baseball kind of cultural hierarchy, if you will, to 2 ex-players just being like, bro, we're going to show up and we are going to flip this thing around. Yadi or Molina is out there. I think that probably Yachty and Manny don't. Those were some serious playoff games, but that's what I'm saying. Like, look, maybe I am misreading this as a fanboy all wrong, but I get the sense that if the Padres were to make a move like this and bring Albert Pujols in, that it could potentially have that domino effect then of bringing in some other recent-year MLB alumnus and younger opinions and different points of view and ways of seeing things, and maybe understanding that, like, this focusing on this thing instead of that thing was the problem all along, and it's a shifting of just a dynamic of, like, we do actually have the assets. Maybe we still need one pitcher here. Maybe we have, like, every team's going to have some shortcomings, but looking at it and being like, hey, we're going to throw some completely fresh, new personalities, opinions, and minds at this in a radical kind of way, because AJ's like, hey, like, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of, like, leash on this. Let's make this happen. I don't know. Feels like there just could be some really nice variables aligning there for some wild and crazy decisions to be made on all of these managerial hirings. So there I will stop. There are many more opinions. Drop a comment. Let me know. We're gonna have we're gonna have daily videos on this and obsess on it. Like I said, to fill the time while we survive the off season together. So if you want to hit the subscribe button, that would also be much appreciated. Until next time, talk to you guys soon.